Yara prasadeva Devavatoriya Jai Yara prasadeva Devavatoriya Jai Yara prasadeva Devavatoriya Jai Krishna Tapi Hoi Jai Krishna Prapti Hoi Jai Krishna Prapti Hoi Jai Krishna Prapti Hoi Jai Guru Mukha Panna Vakya Iti Koriya Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitte Koriya Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitte Koriya Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitte Koriya Ayana Koriya Mane Asha Ayana Koriya Mane Asha Ayana Koriya Mane Asha Guru Charane Rati Ese Utama Gati 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 Ita Shari Puri Prasadi Pure Sarva Asha Prasadi Pure Sarva Asha Prasadi Pure Sarva Asha Purana Dilo Jai Janme Janme Prabhu Se Purana Dilo Jai Janme Janme Prabhu Se Purana Dilo Jai Janme Janme Prabhu Se Hire Gyan Hire Prakashito Hire Gyan Hire Prakashito Hire Gyan Hire Prakashito Hire Gyan Hire Prakashito Bhakti Jai Tera Vidya Vinasha Jate Bhakti Jai Tera Vidya Vinasha Jate Bhakti Jai Tera Vidya Vinasha Jate Tere Gai Jara Charita Tere Gai Jara Charita Tere Gai Jara Charita Tere Gai Jara Charita Guru Karuna Sindhu Adama Janara Bandhu Guru Karuna Sindhu Adama Janara Bandhu Guru Karuna Sindhu Adama Janara Bandhu Lokena Lokera Divana Lokena Lokera Divana Lokena Lokera Divana Lokena Lokera Divana Prabhu Karunaya Deha More Padasaya Prabhu Karunaya Deha More Padasaya Prabhu Karunaya Deha More Padasaya Devega Sri Trivana Devega Sri Trivana Devega Sri Trivana राजू त्रिभुवना
Guru Karuna Sindhu Aranajana Bandhu
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 Lokina Lokira Divana
Lokana Lokira Divana
Lokina Lokira Divana
Lokana Lokira Divana
Prabhu Korodaya Deomare Padataya
Prabhu Karodaya Deamore Padataya
Prabhu Korodaya Deomare Padataya
Prabhu Karodaya Deamore Padataya
Prabhupada Patita Pavana
Prabhupada Patita Pavana
Prabhupada Patita Pavana
Prabhupada Patita Pavana
Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gaura Bhakta-vrinda
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gaura Bhakta-vrinda
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Vivo
Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hey!
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hey!
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hey!
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare
Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radha Ramana Hari, Govinda Jaya Jaya.
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radha Ramana Hari, Govinda
Govinda
Jaya Jaya.
Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jai Jai Gopal Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai
Govinda Jai
Jai
Jai Gopal Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jai Radhe Radhe Jai Jai Shri Radhe
Hey Radhe 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 Jai Jai Shri Radhe
Radhe Radhe Radhe Jai Jai Shri Radhe
Radhe Radhe
Radhe Radhe
Radhe
Radhe
Radhe
Radhe Radhe Radhe Radhe
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare
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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hey Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare
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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Hari Bol Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama
Rama
Rama Rama Hare Hare Hey
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hey Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Hey
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Holy name
Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hey
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hey
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Ramo
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hey
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishnanda
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hey!
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hey!
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hey Gopal, Kesava Madhava, Madhaya.
Hey Govinda, Hey Gopal, Keshava Madhava Dina Daya.
Hey Govinda, Hey Gopal, Kesava Madhava, Madhaya.
Hey Govinda, Hey Gopal, Keshava Madhava Dina Daya.
Dina Daya Prabhu, Dina Daya, Dina Daya Prabhu, Dina Daya.
Dina Dayal Prabhu, Dina Dayal, Dina Dayal Prabhu, Dina Dayal.
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Bol.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Radhe Jai Krishna Jai Vrindavan Shri Govinda Gopinath Namo
Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavan Shri Govinda Gopinath Madana
Hey Jai Radhe Jai Krishna Jai Vrindavan Shri Govinda Gopinath Namo
Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavan Shri Govinda Gopinath Madana
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Hare Hare
Hari Bol
Hare Rama Hare Rama
Rama
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Nanda
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hare
Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Victor
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hari Bol
Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Hey
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hari Bol
Hare Rama
Rama
Rama Rama Hare Hare Hey
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya,
Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya,
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya,
Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya,
Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya, Hey Rama Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan, Shri Govinda Gopinath Madana Mohan.
Hey, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan, Shri Govinda Gopinath Madana Mohan.
Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan, Shri Govinda Gopinath Madana Mohan.
Hey, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan, Shri Govinda Gopinath Madana Mohan.
Rama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan, Kalindi Yamuna Jaya Jaya Mahabha.
Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan, Kalindi Yamuna Jaya Jaya Mahabha.
Shama Kunda Radha Kunda
Gopavinanda.
Haribo.
Any questions from anybody? Huh?
No, Maharaj.
No question?
All
This
questions.
is all clear in my mind.
This chanting clears everything out.
Yeah.
Jaya Vishnupada Padmukaya Sutta Sattvashi. Bhagavange Sisi Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki. Skan Founder Acharya saved the whole world Shri Prabhupada Ki. Samveda Bhakti Vinda Ki. Lord of Heaven. Glory to the Assembled. Glory to the Assembled. Glory to the Assembled. Glory to Shri Guru and Shri Guru. Go ahead. Hare. You can sing Jaya Madhava.
जय राधा माधवा जया कुंज विहारी
Jaya Kunja Vihari.
जय राधा माधवा जया कुंज विहारी
Jaya Madhava, Jaya Kunja Vihari.
जय गोपी जन वल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी
Jaya Madhava,
जय गोपी जन वल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनतीरावनचारी जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज विहारी
Namo Om Vishwadaya Krishna We're reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 7, it was, right?
Yes, Maharaj.
Text number 8 or 9. Chapter 7, Son of Dharma. Do you have any book in Polish or English?
English we have, Maharaj. Digital version of it, but Polish you can also find it also through online. Oh,
Yes,
they have
yes,
first
yeah.
canto?
First canto, chapter
7.
Yes.
The biggest text number 8.
We finished text 10, Atmaramascha Munayo in Gaura Kirtan Prabhu home.
So where are we? What verse?
We are now in verse 11.
Okay, I was wondering what happened to the Atmarama verse.
You can do it, Maharaj, as you wish.
No, we should do it the way we're doing. So then what's today's verse?
11.
Okay. Give me 1 second. Hare Guna Shishit Matiri, that's it, Bhagavan Badarayana Nahi Adyagan Mahad akyanam nityam Vishnu janapriyaha. Translation. Srila Sukadeva Goswami, son of Srila Vyasadeva, was not only transcendently powerful, he was also very dear to the devotees of the Lord.
Bhagavatam.
Purport. According to Brahma Vaivarta Purana, Srila Sukadeva Goswami was a liberated soul even within the womb of his mother. Srila Vyasadeva knew that the child after his birth would not stay at home. Therefore, he, Vyasadeva, impressed upon him the synopsis of Bhagavatam so that the child could be made attached to the transcendental activities of the Lord. After his birth, the child was still more educated in the subject of Bhagavatam by recitations of the actual poems.
Jak mówi Brahma Vaivarta Purana, Srila Sukadeva Goswami był duszą wyzwoloną już w łonie matki. Vyasadeva wiedział, że to dziecko nie zostanie w domu, gdy się urodzi. Dlatego przekazał mu streszczenie Bhagavatam, tak by przywiązało się do transcendentalnych czynów Pana. Po przyjściu na świat pogłębiło ono swą znajomość Bhagavatam dzięki wysłuchaniu całego dzieła.
Okay, so this is a unique situation that the child was already liberated even in the womb, and so he didn't feel any need to come out. Because he was experiencing the Atmarama, or the pleasure of the self.
To jest bardzo unikalna sytuacja, gdzie ten dzieciaki był wolny na brzuchu jego matka i on był na poziom Atmaramy.
And so he was hesitating to come out, but then his father, Vyasadeva, recited the Srimad Bhagavatam, and he was attracted to the pastimes of the Lord.
On nie chciał iść do ten świat, a jej tata Srila Vyasdev potem powiedział Srimad Bhagavatam i dzieciaki czuwał smak do tego i chce być.
So the idea is that the spiritual activities of the Lord are the highest platform of enjoyment.
To pomysł jest taki, że duchowe rzeczy, tak, co my rozmawiamy dla Boga, to jest najlepszy poziom przyjemności transcendentalnej.
So everybody is looking for enjoyment.
Każdy szuka przyjemności.
But here in the material world, that enjoyment is very meager and it's always interrupted.
Ale na ten świat materialny, ten przyjemności jest tymczasowy i bardzo malutki.
Chude.
Chude.
By the influence of time, nobody can remain happy in this world.
Nikt nie może być szczęśliwy całkowicie w tym świecie.
You know English?
Yes.
So why are we translating it all?
For the people listening on the online.
How many people are there?
Yes, we have 3 people, Maharaj, and later on this will be put it on the recorded and they will watch.
I say cancel it right now and just let's talk. Try to impress this boy.
It can be
Okay,
English
so we
later.
can
then.
do it in English, Maharaj, and later we can transcribe in Polish.
Okay. So again, the purport is that we want enjoyment, so let's go for the highest pleasure. Highest pleasure means to enter into the rasa dance with Krishna, where he's dancing with his most beloved gopis. This is considered the most excellent rasa. You have a picture of Krishna. He's dancing in a circle with all these girls, and each girl, Krishna expands himself so that, and each girl is looking at Krishna and they see Krishna is right holding my shoulder. But that's the power of the Lord, that he can expand himself. Just like we know, Krishna has 16,108 wives in Dwarka. But in each house, he's there personally with them. So we can't even comprehend how is that possible. One person can be divided into 16,000 But this is the nature of God. So people don't have any information about God. They think that he died on the cross or something. And it's a horrible pastime. Why do they want to put that in the front? That he's being crucified. Because he's not God. He's the servant of God. That's different. The servant of God may have to undergo torture. Because he doesn't, nothing, but nobody can check his broadcasting the message. Even his fear, he still takes that risk and broadcasts the message of the Lord. So this is the condition. Nobody knows the highest pleasure, where to find the highest pleasure. So if we go up step by step, there's the pleasure of this material world. Then there's the pleasure of Brahman, that you merge into the oneness. So there's some pleasure in the sense that there's no more misery. It's like a relief from the misery. But nothing really positive is there. Like the Buddhists say, nirvana, everything is zero. So zero. But we want something positive. It's like in the number system. We have -1, 0, then there's also +1. So the -1 is this material world. It doesn't bring happiness. At birth, the mother suffers. At death, we all suffer. The child suffers. If you take it all together, there's nothing positive here. So why not get something positive? So that Krishna is offering. He's saying, if you know me in truth, Janma Karma Chame Divyam, this verse is from the what verse is it? Janma Karma, 4th verse, the 4th chapter, text 11. That Krishna says, is it? 4:11, right? Janma Karma. But we know about Krishna's birth and activities, then we don't have to take birth here again. We can enter into the spiritual world. But that's what we're hoping for. We're hoping to finish up our sojourn or our activities here and qualify to enter the spiritual world. The activities here are troublesome. Even the richest man, he has to see so much trouble from other living entities, from his own mind and body, from the nature. Like here, now it's too cold. We can't say, oh, I don't care for the cold. We try to adjust for it, we bring a heater and stuff, but ultimately, the suffering is there because of cold. And nobody can make a solution. They say this is nature, but it's the what nature? In the Gita, Krishna says there's another nature. There's the material nature, full of misery. But there's another nature where there's no misery. But we have to qualify to enter that. And nobody's willing to qualify. Nobody knows how to qualify. Therefore we need a guru, like Srila Prabhupada, who's coming and is giving us the clear picture how we can make progress in spiritual life. What to do to make progress. But the first qualification is we accept a guru who can guide us. And then, just like we give the example, right? We want to be a medical man, we have to go to the other medical man and they teach us. So similarly, we want to be a devotee and go back to Godhead, then we should associate with devotees, just like we're doing right now. And that association will gradually convince us that this is a better thing than what the propaganda of the world. There's always some propaganda. You can be happy if you drink Coca-Cola, you can be happy. Everybody's playing to the point of trying to make us happy, but nobody ends up happy. But if you come on the spiritual side, then you can, and we saw in Srila Prabhupada, in his person, that he was always joyful. There was no lamentation or hankering for something. He was satisfied in himself. So he is offering, you can also become satisfied in yourself, and then qualify to enter the spiritual world. Okay, next paragraph. The idea is that generally the liberated souls are attached to the feature of the impersonal Brahman with a monistic view of becoming one with the Supreme Whole. But for the association of pure devotees like Vyasadeva, even the liberated souls become attracted to the transcendental qualities of the Lord. By the mercy of Srila Narada, Srila Vyasadeva was able to narrate the great epic of Srimad Bhagavatam. And by the mercy of Vyasadeva, Srila Sukadeva Goswami was able to grasp the import. The transcendental qualities of the Lord are so attractive that Srila Sukadeva Goswami became detached from being completely absorbed in the personal Brahman and positively took up the personal activities of the Lord.
Dusze wyzwolone są na ogół przywiązane do bezosobowego Brahmana i przyświeca.
Teraz nie potrzeba, bo wszyscy rozumieją po polsku.
Can I translate?
No, but you understand English.
Yes, yes.
So don't need to translate for now.
So, any questions so far? Victor? In other words, it's something that, okay, we're hearing now, but we're saying go on hearing, go on, take up the process that the Guru is advising us, and you'll get that experience also. It won't be just some book learning, but it'll be something that you can experience. Part of just the Nivarta taste. You get a higher taste. And then you'll see it's easy to give up the so-called pleasures of this world. Like we say, no illicit sex. We don't say no sex, but sex should be for begetting children. That's why the pleasure is there. It's a very intense pleasure because there's a lot of trouble involved. If you do it properly, you're going to bear children. Then you have to be responsible for the next 30 years. You'll see that your child is properly, equipped to enter into the world. And so the pleasure is very intense. But if you're able to tolerate that itching, sometimes people call it sex attraction, it's like an itching. If you tolerate that itching, then you can avoid the trouble of raising the children. Because it is trouble. And you're duty bound to do it. A lot of trouble. You have to see that they're fed properly, educated, clothed, so many things. And so you can't fully concentrate on the real business of qualifying to enter the spiritual world. Therefore, generally in the household life, the progress is very slow. They're making some progress, but better to remain single if possible. Then you can devote all your energy. And then Krishna will reciprocate. He promises, as you surrender unto me, I'll reciprocate accordingly. So he'll reciprocate, and we'll feel satisfied within. We don't need to get a certificate from our wife or from the government or from we feel satisfied within. But that's the real test. If we're happy or not, we should feel satisfied within. So practically, this Sukadeva Goswami, he was in the womb of the mother, and he was feeling, peaceful. But beyond that, he didn't have positive activity. So he was here, Prabhupada's going to say, practically he was thrown from the impersonal conception of the Absolute Truth, thinking within himself that he had simply wasted so much time in devoting himself to the impersonal feature of the Supreme. Or in other words, he realized more transcendental bliss with the personal feature than the impersonal. And from that time, not only did he himself become very dear to the Vishnu Jans, or the devotees of the Lord, but also the Vishnu Jans became very dear to him. The devotees of the Lord, who do not wish to kill the individuality of the living entity, and who desire to become personal servitors of the Lord, do not very much like the impersonalists. And similarly, the impersonalists who desire to become one with the Supreme are unable to evaluate the devotees of the Lord. Thus, from time immemorial, these two transcendental pilgrims have sometimes been competitors. In other words, each of them likes to keep separate from the other because of the ultimate personal and impersonal realization. Therefore, it appears that Srila Sukadeva Goswami also had no liking for the devotees, but since he himself became a saturated devotee, he desired always the transcendental association of the Vishnu Jans. And the Vishnu Jans, or the devotees, also liked his association, since he became a personal Bhagavat. Thus, both the son and the father were completely cognizant of the transcendental knowledge in Brahman, and afterwards both of them became absorbed in the personal feature of the Supreme Lord. The question as to how Sukadeva Goswami was attracted by the narration of Bhagavatam is thus completely answered by this shloka. So, I had experience with some of these impersonalists, and they were telling one story how two of their very exalted saintly people in their monistic ashram, they met each other, but they didn't even greet each other. They didn't say anything. And then the commentator was glorifying that. You see, they're so much full in themselves. They don't need to talk to anybody else. They don't need to associate with the other people. They were taking that as a great sign. But we see in the Vaishnava society, when two devotees meet, they're happy to meet. They discuss they embrace, they discuss about Krishna. That verse is there in the Bhagavad Gita. Can we find it? Chapter 9, text number 10.
Dushyanticha Ramanticha? No, it is text number 10, Maharaj.
I think it is Dushanti.
Tesham satatayu
That's right, what you said.
Tesham Bhajatam Priti Purvakam.
Balmachitama gata prana
Yeah.
bodhata
That's
parasparam.
This is
9.
10th chapter,
Nine.
9.
Or 10 chapter 9. I had it
If
backwards.
I remember correctly.
10, 9, right. So the devotees do like to meet, they like to exchange, they like to hear from each other, they like to take prasad together.
Yes.
But the impersonals, they just want, because they're like Sukadeva was staying in the womb, he didn't want to talk to anybody. But then when the Prabhupada is giving the examples here, when those impersonals meet the devotees in a favorable way, then they also become devotees. You found the verse?
Yes, Maharaj.
Go ahead.
Translation. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me.
So you see, we have something positive to talk about, a spiritual thing. Like Srila Prabhupada, I just finished writing a book about Srila Prabhupada and Krishna. So if we hear about Krishna and the spiritual master, those kind of activities are wanted. That they'll increase our faith. But again, we come to the point of faith. Faith means faith in something. What is that? And there's the exchange. So devotion means there's more than one. The Maya body, everything is one. But that's not practical. The devotees are right when they say, yes, there's actually three things. There's the Lord, the living entity, and the exchange. So there's three things. And they always exist. Nicha yukta upashate. They're always going on. Not that you stop hearing about the Lord or that you stop glorifying the Lord. No, these things go on eternally. Even in the spiritual world, the devotees take pleasure, like we read about the gopis. When they're doing something, they're still clapping, they're thinking about Krishna, they're chanting Krishna's name. So these activities are there in the spiritual world. This is the highest conception. Spiritual activities. And what's the verse again? Sukadeva Goswami, son of Srila Vyasadeva, was not only transcendently powerful, he was very dear to the devotees of the Lord. Thus he underwent the study of the great narration Srimad Bhagavatam. So he was dear to the devotees. That's the point. Not just as preoccupied with himself and thinking that that's the all in all. Like once we were on a morning walk with Srila Prabhupada in Mayapur, and we were out in the field, and Prabhupada turned to us, he said, if I told you you can sit down here in the field eternally, you wouldn't be happy. You want to get up and go to Calcutta, he said. Because there's something to do in Calcutta. What are you going to do sitting in the field? So this is something like that. The impersonals, they don't have any idea of spiritual activities. So we avoid them. Prabhupada is making the point. There's a controversy. They're also transcendentalists. We give them credit. That they understand the material world is not a place of happiness, and so they're trying to transcend it. And then maybe they can transcend it, but they can't really relish the higher taste. So they're subject to fall down because they're not getting a higher taste. Then they can come back to the material world and think, oh no, it's more important to open hospitals and to feed the poor and so on. And they make that their goal. But these things are all material. We want to come to the transcendental activities of the Lord, which are available for us. We can access them. And Krishna will reveal himself to us more and more. This is his promise. As you surrender, I'll reveal myself. But why not take to the surrendering process instead of just remaining, aloof? Everybody is afraid to surrender because they think we'll lose something. But really we gain so much. Okay, any comments, questions? You want to make a comment?
I had comment and also one question. Comment is, Maharaj, what you mentioned about this aloof thing. So I experienced this also in India, for example, before meeting Prabhupada books. Um, it's hard to even understand who God is and what we do, like even with this meditation. If you do, what you see a flame or see some picture like imagination. And here, when we read about saints or Prabhupada books, it's a
Clear picture.
it's clear picture, and it helps days to go by rather than we fall in some boring activity, because so this
is mentioned in the Gita also. He says those who meditate on the impersonal is very troublesome, very difficult.
And my question was, Maharaj, you mentioned about that Krishna dancing with gopis. I wanted to ask that Mahaprabhu also dancing with his associate in the kirtan. So if we can we say, Maharaj, that this holy name chanting, if we do it properly, sincerely, then one day we can also understand maybe some percent
That's the
of.
hard idea. That's why I'm not happy at his house. He says we can't dance because we're late before. This is very much important in our process to dancing. Even a little dancing we did here. It's something that gives us, a better understanding that this is not dry. The subject matter is very joyful. And if we're joyful, we'll dance. That's one of the symptoms of happiness. You see a little child, sometimes they just spontaneously dance because they're happy. And you think, wow, look at the child, is so happy. So dancing is an important feature of our tradition. But Chaitanya was dancing. He had special people who would dance ecstatically, and some would play the drum, and some would. So it was like that was going on. And Krishna is Nataraj, that's the word used, the best dancer. Gaur Nataraj means Lord Chaitanya was the best dancer. And Krishna was also the best dancer. Because actually they're the same person, but different mood. Krishna was such a wonderful dancer. The gopis were so thrilled to come and dance with him. When he blew his flute, they would leave everything and go to be with him. Break even the social conventions of the time. They didn't care. They left their husbands and they just went to join with Krishna in dancing. Because it was so ecstatic. It was the highest pleasure. Just like a drug addict, right? He'll do anything to get this heroin. When he needs it, he'll rob, he'll steal, he'll kill even. Because this gives him such a high. So this is nothing compared to the pleasure that's available on the spiritual side. But we shouldn't, we should be careful not to get addicted. Once the addiction is there, then it may be difficult to give it up. So therefore, in the beginning we say, no illicit sex, no intoxication. No intoxication. Don't even take coffee, tea. You get dependent on these things, and then you feel bad if you don't have them. People get addicted to coffee. Oh, I didn't have my coffee yet. They can't do their work. We want to avoid all of that. We'll find happiness within. Next.
I must say I have quite fresh recent experiences with giving up the addictions or meta or whatever, several years. So it's very strong and you feel really liberated at that stage.
Which intoxication you're giving up? Cigarette?
Oh, I did already.
Yeah.
Years ago.
That's good.
But compared to other devotees, quite freshly, or quite recently, as compared to.
That's good.
So and this is real liberation.
Yeah,
To turn
otherwise
towards-
you're a slave. You become a slave of the habit. And we see that turns over to other things. You become a slave of lust. You can't help but look at this woman and like to see her naked. And you become a slave of greed. You have enough, but you want more. You don't have to have more. So these are all things that we're subtly or grossly attached to in the material world. What about Nandalal has a comment?
No, Guru Maharaj, I agree with everything, and I pray
Okay.
for I pray for your mercy that we overcome these kind of clutches
Yeah.
and not become slave
But,
but
and we,
engage in
because we're very fortunate because we have example of Srila Prabhupada who had overcome them. It's not just some theory. That's what happens with the Christians. They say, well, yes, Christ was perfect, but we can't be perfect. But Prabhupada never said that. He personally told me, yes, you can also be representative of Krishna. It's not just for a certain class or anybody can come to the point of love of God. It's our constitutional position. But it's not easy because this is Maya's kingdom. And Maya will tell us, no, no, don't chant Hare Krishna. You're better off doing this, doing that. Just like even this morning, I'm a little disappointed. Where are the devotees? They have some more important things to do. Right? They're working on that. Okay, but let's stop here. Shri Bhagavatam ki.
Jai.
Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
So we seriously want to get a place here, a proper temple. And